This is recording 763. Again, you can find me at christinastation918.com. You can find me on Podbean. Look up my podcast, Speaking to the CIA. You can even type listen next dash and then any number between 001 and give the internet a minute to catch up with itself. This is recording 762, but any number between 001 762, you can find my podcast that way. You can find me on YouTube, Christina Station 918. I am getting exhausted. I've been making podcasts all day. I've had all this on my phone, and I've got to get all these recorded, and I still have I would say another 4 or 5 to go before I'm caught up, and then I can get to current events, but I've got to get all this recorded. This is all very significant. The last one irritated me because I hate wasting a podcast to talk about Gene Roberts white peopling. But now you guys have a good example. You know how to call it out. You know what it is. People are pretty wise to not pay attention to any of Gene's AI mental telepathy that she's got hijacked. They know to ignore. They pay attention to my podcast, and they pay attention to crimes on TV. No, again, Gene is trying to white people again, acting like I'm talking about her and her little nasty weasel fuckers. And she's controlling my speech there again, adding the F word in. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. But I have the podcast. I'm turning Gene in. So, eventually, hopefully, there will be an end to this. But anyway, okay, so, all right, so let me continue here. Okay, so, all right, so this one was mind-blowing because I've gone over this so many times. I've decoded so much out of this, but this one was really, really revealing because I decode it and I'm not done yet. There's more here. But I can't get to it. I need missing pieces before I can get to the pieces that I'm missing in order to decode more. So this was mind blowing. So anyway, okay, Benghazi and Utah. Ambassador Christopher Stevens. Look at the B from Benghazi and then look at Utah. It spells out butter. Okay, so I know instantly when it comes to the word butter, butter, I go all the way back to grade school, okay, when she was stalking me and using ice on me in grade school. So this is what I've decoded over and over and over several times, and I keep decoding more and more and more terrorism out of it. But this is, again, more evidence how far back she pre-planned to do the Benghazi attack, which tells you there's probably a lot more going on than Benghazi. For Benghazi was major, but it tells you it's really, 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 really major. Pre-planned back this far, and I keep decoding it. It tells you there's a lot more there. Now, the one thing that is there that I haven't talked about in my podcast in a while was I decoded a couple of pages on this, but Saddam Hussein. Okay, so Saddam Hussein, his life was taken. His life was taken by United States military in the middle of conflict in the Middle East. Okay, so anyway, I was bawling my eyes out for Saddam Hussein. I never got mad at the United States of America. I never got mad at any of the politics of the situation at all, because I don't know what the politics of the situation is. And I know that Gene Roberts is using ICE and manipulating and controlling military operations, military maneuvers all over. She's icing people. She wants her world dominion plot. She wants to control. She's got terror plots, okay? And she wants to get away with this. And it's literally Charles Manson underneath it all. It's literally Gene Roberts and her Manson occult. So anyway, I don't choose anything like that. Instead, I was like bawling my eyes out. And then I was decoding Saddam Hussein, and I know that he is still alive. And some of that's going to be saved for Reckoning Day. I know that he is still alive. I know that she's holding him hostage. I told you in my previous podcast where I think his location is. And I had a mental telepathy connection to him, but all he could like signal to me like was like he couldn't talk. He could just like signal like making movements on my body. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden I feel like something in my body, or like a ting or a burn or something like that. Like he didn't ting or burn me, but I'm just giving like an example of like me feeling muscle tissue move or something like in my hand or something. Like he would always take my hand, and then he would use my hand on my back, because I was mixing up a picture of him with Khalid Muhammad, who I believe should also be let go, who's in prison for being the mastermind of the World Trade Center attack. And Khalid Muhammad is not. It is Gene Roberts, who is the mastermind of doing the World Trade Center attack. She did the World Trade Center attack. And why do we have him in jail and holding him in prison? And Gene Roberts is running around acting like she's like Mrs. frickin' United States frickin' gunslinger, can, run child trafficking rings and frame people in a second and keep your, ugh. She's so freaking disgusting. And she committed stolen valor. And she's making my nose run at the same time. Like a minute ago, I started sneezing. And now she's making my nose run. That's because she made your nose run, and then she goes, and then you're saying Gene is disgusting, and then she quick like redirected it like at you. No, I'm not. You're disgusting. You only see yourself, which is not me, Gene. I'm talking about you metaphorically. You're more like precious and blessed because you're being worshipped. Last time you showed up in my brain, you were getting your hair done by a bunch of people standing around you, fawning over you. You're being worshipped while you are abusing and controlling and stalking me and trying to silence me from making reports against your Benedict Arnold ass. You are a terrorist and a trafficker. So anyway, so the same is said for both of them. Okay, these are both prisoners of war. She's running a hostage racket. So one we know of, she's got in jail. Okay, she's got in prison. But Saddam Hussein, everybody thinks he's not alive anymore, and he's still alive. So these are both prisoners of war. And you cannot argue with the facts. That's what I'm saying. These are both prisoners of war. So anyway, I was decoding Saddam Hussein, and then it was a picture that I saw of Khalid Muhammad, and it was a picture of him, and he had been abused, and it was a picture that they put on in the media, and I could see the top of his back. So what he would do was, or his people would take my hand, and they would put my hand at the top of my back, like between my shoulder blades, and they would tap like all the time, or they would tap on closet doors, and they were saying, and I didn't know who it was yet because I hadn't gotten that far in it, but they would tap on like closet doors, and what they were saying was, and I could see the visual, but I couldn't see what else they were saying. They were saying that Gene Roberts, leader of Charles Manson, did the World Trade Center attack. You know she killed Sharon Tate. You know she hid in the closet. Okay, but what they were saying is the size of the cell they're in is really, really, really tiny, and they're banging on the closet door, like in a really, really, really tiny cell. So it was scaring me, and not like scare, like, oh my God, like it was like I'm like, I gotta do something, scaring me like this is really, really bad, and I can't turn my back. I need to decode, figure out what's going on, and then like get my butt up and get Gene Roberts turned in. So all Gene can do is lie and con in return, but now the whole world has my podcast, and they know I'm not lying because I say, go through my podcast, fact check yourself. So anyway, when I was decoding Saddam, I decoded more of Saddam Hussein when and I'm always worried sick about him, and I decoded more of Saddam Hussein when I was in Oklahoma City, and she was using his name in her mad plot, in her AIW mad plot, and you can see Saddam, you can see what she did there. But when I was decoding, I decoded like 2 pages of this. Wherever she has them, she plans on doing, I literally decoded this out. She plans on doing a Benghazi style of attack on where he's at. And so, for those of you guys who don't know what Benghazi is, watch Black Hawk Down or go read about Benghazi. So, it was an attack that Gene Roberts planned and executed using ice, creating an ice event, and she did it underneath everybody's noses. And so I keep decoding more and more that she did it. There's no denying that she did it. But anyway, so this attack was a failed attack. Okay, so they went in to go, the operation was to go in to the CIA annex and go rescue. There was conflict in the area, and the operation was to go in and rescue Christopher Stevens, Ambassador Christopher Stevens, from the CIA annex. And I believe this was in Libya, but I can't remember right now. But to go rescue him. So military went on a mission to go rescue him in the middle of this conflict, and it was a deadly conflict. And the conflict, it was a failed mission, and Ambassador Christopher Stevens died. And so, anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting the two confused. They said you decoded both Benghazi and Black Hawk Down, and they're both B. So it's more evidence that she committed both crimes. Here, Black Hawk Down is about the Battle of Mogadishu. They know you decoded both, Christina, but they're clarifying the Battle of Mogadishu versus Benghazi. So anyway, Black Hawk Down goes to the Battle of Mogadishu. So anyway, so it was a failed attempt, and Ambassador Christopher Stevens died. And I told you I decoded several ambassadors' lives that she's taken. And Christopher Stevens is one of them. And you can tell by Christopher's first name, and you can tell by Christopher Stevens' last name, and you can tell by my initials. You can tell Gene Roberts committed this crime. I mean, it's flipping ridiculous. But I told you I really think he's still alive, and I really think that he has been kidnapped. I really think he's being held hostage. Now, I think this because all signs lead to it, and because I know that Saddam Hussein is still alive and she's holding him hostage. So what she planned was doing a parallel event, modern day, in the future, which I hope has been busted to heck him back by now. Like not letting her get away with any of that. But Lady Coasted on Oklahoma City 4 years ago, her future plan, her future plot, which could have been she would have tried to make it happen anywhere from that point to today to the future. So, anyway, she planned another Benghazi style attack wherever Saddam Hussein is being held hostage to get Saddam Hussein and take him and keep him. Okay? And it's not, don't be trying to flip it around, Gene Roberts. She's literally trying to blame the Middle East again. Just wait. It's not the Middle East, it's Gene Roberts. Gene Roberts takes people and she kidnaps people and you never hear from them again. Okay? And so he's in the middle of this hostage crush. She's holding him hostage, but to take him and remove him and take him someplace else. So she planned a stage. I decoded all this out. She planned a staged recovery coup, and she even arranged in the United States government to put herself on a United States rescue task force for rescuing people that are held hostage underground. She arranged herself to be on a rescue force. The bitch is holding people hostage. I mean, I was like, oh my God, no, you're not. No, you are not. No, you're not. So anyway, which that's probably gonna, because she wants to be hot shit. She wants to commit the crime. She wants to run the racket. And then she wants to keep doing what she's been doing. So she wants to take off with him somehow, some way. And most likely whoever else is around him. But she wants it to be a failed rescue attempt. Like a Benghazi 2 is what she wants to do. Even that mirrors that you can tell I can't see your there are people talking through me that are saying they can't see my decode, but you can tell what I'm saying is correct based on what I decode because the connections they're making in their minds right now, which is Benghazi happened in 2000. Oh my God. So Benghazi happened in 2011. Okay, 10 years after the World Trade Center attack. So, which she pre-planned to do Benghazi. And there were 2 World Trade Center attacks. Okay, so, and then 10 years after the World Trade Center attack, she plans the Benghazi attack. Okay, so what I'm telling you is she plans a second Benghazi attack. It's like her paralleling the World Trade Center attack. And someone said, what about if he was... Somebody said, what about if he was over there? They're hyperbolating or whatever the word is in your brain, Christina. We hear all your podcasts. We know what you're saying because we know you said you know where his... or you think you know where his location is by doing the deduction on how Gene operates and Gene thinks. So those people, the little hype out liar peoples, are part of our weasel people. So they're to be ignored. They're criminals. They think everything's a freaking joke. So anyway, so she plans this, like Dakota says, she plans this second Benghazi style attack. So then, my hand starts moving on my back, my hand is moved to my back between my shoulder blades again, and tapping on my back, they're freaking out. They're freaking out. People do not want to die. They don't want to be kidnapped and taken off and put in, in God knows what situation. They don't want anything to, they don't want Gene Roberts near them. In fact, they even said, this was when I was in Oklahoma City, they said they do not want any FBI agents running any rescue attempt at all, unless Gene Roberts and her Manson occult is arrested, because she's hiding within the FBI. Maybe that's a big part of having Kosh Patel as a leader of the FBI now. So there's this level of comfort there that we know what's going on, Gene Roberts won't be getting away with that. This is major conflict. It's terrorism. We know what's going on. You're heard. We hear you. We know. So maybe that's a part of the reason why getting him into heading the FBI. So anyway, look at his name, Kosh Patel. Even that's got Saddam Hussein's initials in it. So maybe there's something within his name giving a signal. You're heard. We know Gene Roberts is holding you hostage. You're very, very, very heard. And your anger and your rage is very, very heard. So maybe that's what that is. But she's got like him, like he has to participate in all of her hijinks crap too, because she's got ballistic. She's a freaking terrorist. Like you have, like people are talking through and they're saying, I have the right to make continued reports against her because I know how to decode crimes that she committed. And she's literally holding like my brain and body hostage, and she's running a major hostage racket. Like, not like, I mean like electronically, but she's holding people physically hostage, like I just explained. And she wants to run her nasty little baseball freaking con and act like she's just out. Somebody gave her the magic wand to be the cop of everybody's freaking children and forget that there's parents and law enforcement and intelligence out there. She'll just mother your children for you. She has now become the mother of all your children. I mean, Gene Roberts is like this. Gene Roberts is very communal. She's the leader of an occult. So this is what she's like drummed up for herself, and she's given every freaking shtick and con in the book to try to like get away with this. It's freaking insane. So, and if you go against her, then she throws a fit, and then she commits a literal terror attack. So people have to like see like everything she's up to on her end and try to get in all the locations and all the places where she's got people held hostage underground, and like everything has to be scoped, everything like, and then while she's running around thinking everybody's doing her, that they're not listening to my podcast, they're all just doing what Gene says, because Gene is the be all and end all of everything everywhere, and just grape and fanner and you know, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, well, this is like real. This is real. She is really a terrorist. So anyway, they were freaking out watching me decode this full couple of pages on Gene Roberts' plans, and it was wrapped around Saddam Hussein. It was also, I was decoding Gaddafi in Libya, but I don't know if that was, I decoded Gaddafi Libya several times. I don't know. I think this was specifically around Saddam Hussein. And so anyway, they said in my brain so many times, unless you are going to arrest Jean Jernigan Roberts of Milton, Florida, and the leaders of her occult everywhere, and take them down, you just like, until you can take them down and get us out of where we're at now, where she has us, like, leave us be until you take her down and find a way to take her down, because they don't trust FBI agents rescuing anybody. And she literally put herself on a rescue task force. And I'm just like, everybody is like, oh my God, I cannot believe she did that. So anyway, and she constantly acts like she owns everything and everyone underground. Like, she says that in my brain all the time. She goes, leave us alone. Leave us alone. She acts like everybody's down there at like a rave party, just like, you know, just having a good time, and just leave us alone. And that's not really what's going on at all. There are parties and rave spots underground, but because she generalized, because she's trying to hide. Again, she's trying to hide what she's concealing underground, these underground spots where people are being held hostage. Okay, so anyway, they don't want it. They don't want any official that can't be thoroughly trusted, like inside out trusted, and they prefer it be their own people, is what was told to me, to get them out of there, and they want out of there. So Anyway, so that was 4 years ago. So anyway, so back on Benghazi, Utah, so it's got butter in it. So anyway, so going back to the 70s, okay, and I'm talking about this is how early she pre-planned Benghazi. So going back to the 70s in grade school, like she's planning like war around my childhood. Like she's controlling my life. She's like ice raping me and my family. She's stalking us. And she's literally planning war and terrorism around my life, like assassinations, like you name it. So I can decode the heck out of any crime that Gene Roberts has committed. So one of the things that she used was, I believe I was in third or fourth grade, and everybody pays attention to every number because every number means something to Gene. She uses numbers to commit crime with. So, like, I try to give as much detail as I can so people are able to figure out what I may not see. So anyway, I think I was like in third or fourth grade, and limericks, we were learning limericks and tongue twisters and haikus. We were learning like all the different kinds of poetry, and one of the limericks was in was a limerick, it was like a tongue twister. It was in one of my school books, and I read it over and over all the freaking time, and it was called Betty Bought a Bat of Butter. Okay, so I know going back in time that Betty bought a bat of butter is very important because I have to literally go back into my childhood memories and decode my childhood memories to see what she did. So I decoded Betty bought a bat of butter several times, okay? But I just decoded a lot more, so that's what I'm going to take you through. So Betty bought a bat of butter. So she used in that, you see the word bat, she used that. She also used bit o' honey. You're probably going to want to check the commercials, the bit of honey commercials that were out back then. Also, the bit of honey, the Betty Bought a Bat of Butter is 11 lines. Inside this is Tombstone, Yuma, Mavis, Mutah, Mutah, and Mutter, Mutter. And remember, she has a whole demonic site. Stop, Gene. She has a whole demonic cipher written around my life as a child and written around my parents who rescued an Alaskan Malamute. And he didn't have any hair on his body except for his head. And remember, I went over that podcast with you, everything, and they named him Yukon, and they tried to nurse him back to life. Okay, so I went over that whole podcast with you, decoding all of that. So she was referring to mutt and mange, and she did all this nasty freaking shit. And she was saying all kinds of nasty stuff. And she was like referring to me as like Yukon and calling me a dog. And then she was saying all kinds of nasty, these really, really old damn demonic ciphers of Gene Roberts. So she did all this, like, it was freaking horrible. So, and then that links to the Army, because remember I told you in the 70s, I had it in my brain that dog meant Army, and I don't know why or how that came to be, but I always think of dog as Army, like Army dog, and like even when I'm decoding, and she knows that about me, like I'll always associate dogs with Army. So anyway, so that means Army, okay? So even you can see that in Mavis, the AM, she's using that. So mutter and then mutt and then Yukon. So you would see all decode on all of this, which links to all of this. Then she uses mutate, which confirms what I had said in my previous podcast. They had found Yukon. He was a stray dog, and he had gotten to a dog fight. He was behind a grocery store. They rescued him from behind a grocery store, and he had gotten to a dog fight, and they like nursed him back to life, and he just could not grow hair on his body for anything. And then I was told when I lived in Oklahoma City, I bet you he wasn't in a dog fight. I bet you someone let him loose from a lab somewhere. And I bet you someone was performing experimentation on him, because it's completely bizarre how he had no hair on his body but only on his head. And then, like people are saying now, even if he really was in a dog fight, for somebody to even say that when you're in Oklahoma City, they're letting you know that they're doing mutation and science experimentation underground. Okay, so Yukon is a very big deal. My dog Yukon. Okay, so she also used mutate and then Sharon Tate. And then also, they're also adding in the Sound of Music. So then Table is in it, Mesa is in it. Later she used Toblerone. Then Table is in it. Then Throne is in it. Then Libel is in it. Then Losing Bets is in it. Then Emily Bronte is in it. Albert is in it. Jesse James. Okay, so this links, I'm following the path of this. Okay, so Jesse James. So when I see Yuma, so Yuma is in this. So up here where Tombstone Yuma. So when I see Jesse James, I'm like, I need to go see about Yuma in, because there, I think of the movie Yuma, 3:10 to Yuma is what I think of. So I'm like, I need to go see 3:10 to Yuma, and I need to go follow the trail, and then I need to go see if Jesse James had any dealings with Yuma. Okay, so did he have anything to do with Yuma? And you know, Tombstone is in southern Arizona also. It's like near Tucson. So it's like near, it's between, like, I don't know the physical, it's between Yuma and Tucson. It's in the southern Arizona, southern part of Arizona. So, because of what's telling me here is Jesse James had ties to Yuma, and you know what's underneath Yuma. So then I go research Jesse James, and I see that he died, my birthday, November 13th, 1900. And then, you know, Gene Roberts has a son, and his name is Jesse, and she intentionally named her son Jesse, and she called him like the second God or the second Jesus. It's like a whole bunch of demonic cipher of hers around her son Jesse. But you can see when she named him Jesse, she was naming him after Jesse James. So, and then smite, everything is smite me, kill me, and herself be worshipped. She wants herself to be worshipped. So that proves again she bred me by controlling conception between my parents. And it proves again she chose my literal date of birth. So anyway, so Jesse James died November 13th, 1900. And then also, Gene Roberts is obsessed with bikers as she is police and military. So then also on TV, remember there was a biker show on. It was he looked like either he was a biker. Remember Jesse James the biker? And I think it was the OC, wasn't it? Like, unless he owned the tat place. I'm getting confused, my tat shows and biker shows. But there was either a tat artist named Jesse James, or there was a biker show with Jesse James. See, and the Jesse James guy, he was a good-looking guy. He was a blonde guy on TV, but he'd be somebody who'd be right up Gene Roberts' alley, because she loves real soft, syrupy, cute. And he's like a hard guy. He's like a biker and tattooed, but he's got a baby face. And that's what Gene is into. So you can tell it's like, ew, ow, I bet you his girlfriend would love to beat Gene Roberts' ass. I swear to God, it's freaking funny in the head. But anyway, so Jesse James, the biker show, So then also Jesse James' cousin's name is Johnny Ringo. So then that connects more again to Charles Manson, Ringo Starr of the Beatles, who was a prominent figure in Tombstone, Arizona. So there is the link of Jesse James to Tombstone, Arizona, which is the link to Yuma. And then also Yum, they're using Yum and then Bitter Batter. Okay, so also you see Betsy Ross 13 colonies in there, 310 to Yuma. So then I keep like decoding, and I'm reading about Jesse James, and it says Legends of Jesse James in Ohio Center on alleged clandestine hideouts and buried treasure in the late 19th century, particularly in Richland County, where local lore suggests a safe house existed. Okay, so bingo again, her stalking me and my family and her ripping off the cartel. So now we've got the Ohio link. Okay, so when my stepmom, Beth, okay, my dad's what, third wife or third, it was his third wife. Beth is from Youngstown, Ohio. And then there you go, Jesse James, the biker dude. So she's literally stalking my dad. She's literally stalking me. She's stalking my mom. She's stalking all of us. So there's the Ohio link there. Okay. So now there's a lot of crime that goes around Ohio. And she uses the OO and she uses the HI. And she always tries to pass it off in my brain. Like every time I see something about Ohio, every single time she jabs in my brain and tries to redirect the blame to the Middle East, when I'm literally decoding crime that she is committing. Like I'm literally sick of her blaming everybody else. So anyway, there's something really going on in Ohio. Okay, so this is very important, very, very, very important. And what does Gene Roberts and her Manson occult want to do? They want to frame and set up the military. They want the military to crash. They want to frame the Marines. They want to blame everyone else. And she warping everything to make it look like it's the American Indian movement or African Americans. Either one of them are doing this. They don't even know all of this, so they start like going through my life and they start paying attention and they see how Jean's stalked. What Jean is trying to do is she's trying to broker management and she's trying to hustle brown people and black people when she needs to be executed for committing crime and trying to like broke, because she wants to say, you did it, you did. No, they did not do that. That is you and your Manson occult that did that. So, and then she wants her little piece of the pie and she wants to run off and just into the sunset and just get away with all of the terrorism and trafficking. And she just successfully blamed it on everyone else, when really what she's trying to do is trick everyone else into doing what she wants done, which is her terrorism agenda, which she can't really trick them because people are wise to her now. So anyway, so there's money involved here. So again, and then in 1986, we're going back to Geraldo Rivera. We're going back to Al Capone's vault. Al Capone died on Valentine's Day. And so, like, no, did he die on No, it was the Valentine's Day massacre. I think he charged him for committing the Valentine's Day massacre. And that was really Jean underneath that. Now she's going to blame New York. Nope, it was Gene Roberts. Because why? No. Because I told you she's operated underneath everyone over time. Anything that starts with M, first of all, scratch it off the list. And then you go to Jean's other deferral, which she tries to make money by telling lies, by hiding what she is, and making up lies about children that she's freaking abused. And then she'll just be their protector, her little ecosystem, which is what she is. But the letter M is a very powerful letter, okay? So, like, there's a lot of cool stuff that starts with M. So, mob is one of them. So, Jean Roberts and her Manson occult are the ones that committed these crimes over time, and then before her was her predecessors. So what's happening is she is following trails of gold and tracking trails of gold and tracking trails of hidden gold, and she plans to steal it. And then she plans to act like she's a government agent. She's just going to protect it. No, you're trying to steal it. So it takes me making a public broadcast, because if you know what's where and everybody knows what's where, then Jean can't steal it, and nor could she hustle anybody over it. And they can flick Jean Roberts out of the way, and Native Americans and African Americans can go right to D.C. Why are we helping Jean run a Ponzi? Why are we forced into covering Jean's butt? Can Jean just be arrested? This is nonsense now. So just kick her ass out of the freaking way. She wants in the middle of it because she wants to control it, and she wants money. So anyway, so there's hideouts there in Ohio. So that's where, and so it says in Richland County, where a local lore suggests a safe house existed. Now, these stories often involve a cave in the village of Millsboro. Okay, so blasted shut in the 1950s. So that's going to be another reference back to me in Chandler. Oh my God. That's going to be another reference back to me in Chandler. It's a reference to one of my best friends in grade school's last name was Mills. And you have to see all decode on Mills. But what she's making a reference to here, or what she's using here and controlling my childhood here, is 6th grade when I went to Pomeroy Elementary. Even that Pomeroy, when I went to Pomeroy Elementary, and one of my friends in school, her name was Annie, and then like all the kids teased me and called me Annie and her dog and all that, and she was ice raping all the kids. She was ice raping all of us. So there's another dog reference that connects dog to Yukon. So again, there's confirmation. So that's referring to underground mines, which is referring to a Bajos underground in Arizona, which means there, and I know there's gold mining going on under there. I know she's got people held enslaved, forcing people to gold mine under there. And if you confront her, she go, "Oh, that's one of our type of people. That's all that's doing the gold mining. No, your type of people are running around committing terrorism for you and helping you sell sick ass fucking lies to feed you and your little fucking orgiest. So you and all your nasty little men." So basically, Jean is where the gold is, and people know it, and Jean has everybody else's money, so she's attracting filth and vermin by making even more money. But then she's got everybody else's eyes on her too, like, this has got to end. You got to be arrested, bitch. So anyway, blasted shut in the 1950s, and a reputed hidden cache of Confederate gold. And then, what is my initials? My first husband, what is my initials? His last name is Guadarrama, so Christina Guadarrama, so my initials are in there. So anyway, which is saying she ripped off gold. She ripped off the cartel. They're also saying that Jean ciphered this out, and I decoded. She constantly wants to blame everyone else. She ciphered this out, and so when I find out the history on this, I can see what Jean did. So Jean is lying about stealing from Mexico when there's evidence right here that she stole from Mexico. Okay, so I also go and see if Eliot is in here because of T.S. Eliot. You remember the T.S. Eliot, the poet? I decoded so much of him. But remember in 6th grade what also came out? E.T. And what did E.T. throw? He threw little Reese's Pieces, a trail of little Reese's Pieces. And the little Reese's Pieces, this is crazy. So the little kid Elliot, he like is trying to lure E.T. out of a little shed in the backyard. And so he puts a little trail of like little Reese's Pieces. And what are Reese's Pieces initials? RP. And then what are, this is like my favorite movie in 6th grade. And she uses E.T. I decoded a ton of E.T. because she uses E.T. in her damn demonic ciphers on my life. So anyway, the Reese's Pieces are made of what? They're made of peanut butter, PB, and then lead. And then look, he's trying to lead him out. So then what is lead? Lead is ore. What is ore? Ore is gold. So you see how like she's and then the peanut butter, and that's gold. Not lead, but gold. So she's like trying to lure, and it looks like a little mine shack or a little mine shaft, but it's just a little storage thing in the backyard in the movie. So it's a gold trail, which is also another reference to the Yellow Brick Road. Maybe she's saying she's like pretending that she's not underground and isn't holding people hostage underground, and she's going to try to lure people out by offering them little like kickbacks or something. Like, here's a little thing for you. Here's a little gold chunk for you. Because she wants to broker everyone. So there's no telling what she did here. But anyway, then also on Betty Bought a Bat of Butter. So famous English language tongue twister was written by Carolyn Wells. So then you have Lewis Carroll, Alice in Wonderland. And then later on you have 1986. When I moved to Chicago, and then my crush on Dale Wells, and you have you have Wells Fargo Bank out west, gold mining, and then you have Wells Avenue in Chicago in 1899, originally titled The Butter Betty Bought. So she constantly wants to blame Betsy Ross XO on African Americans. And I've told you in previous podcasts, that is Jean Roberts' goddamn alias. She committed crime with it. She's trying to lure in white people is what she's trying to do. And I'm like, that is Jean Roberts' alias. She committed crime with it. Like, don't let her push that at you. She's trying to hustle you. And I can hear her constantly trying to hustle people. So then, also, bread and butter is in it, so which really like freaking grosses me out. So it's more evidence that she assaulted me because of bread and butter pickles. To think about the shape of a bread and butter pickle. So she's using bread and butter. Freaking gross as frick. So bread and butter, and then DB Cooper, and then baby is in it, and then pencil, and then bread and butter. But she tries to cover that up with telling another lie, which she pre-plans, and then there's no it. She makes up a lie and she pre-plans, and that's where the cartel turns around and gets fucking pissed at her and says, we're not going to spread lies for you, Jean. You literally assaulted Christina when she was little and when she was a baby. And you're lying about it, trying to flip it around, trying to start war, and trying to make it look like everybody else starting a war when nobody's starting a war. You're trying to incite people and get people mad, and everybody is really after you. Like, somebody electrocute the bitch. This is stupid already. So anyway, so that's even more evidence of like how old, probably by the invention of those objects, she might have been using them. So something else that somebody also pointed out, PICLES. So inside pickles is PICLES, and then PICELS, and then pencil is in that. So I think that was that's like a side offshoot, which goes later on to her crime, but the history of this. So definitely, she is definitely after stealing gold, acting like she's protecting gold, and acting like she's the distributor of gold when she is the bank robber. So that is the end of this recording.